Mining Fiestas are undoubtedly one of the best ways to make money in Hypixel Skyblock, and this is because it doubles all of the drops you get when you're mining for a certain period of time. And when mining makes already upwards of 45 to 50 mil an hour, you can imagine what it's like when it's doubled. So when a mining Fiesta comes round, which is quite a rare occurrence these days, it's important to not mess it up and get as much money as possible during that time. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining 10 ways to prepare for a mining Fiesta. Real quick, I do just want to say, if you enjoyed this video, liking and subscribing will help me so much. And if you want to support me further, I have a Discord server which I'll link below, and there's a nice little join button next to the subscribe button. Only the true elites click that one. Okay, so let's get started. Tip 1, make sure you have all of the correct equipment and gear on way before you start the Fiesta. So for example, make sure you're wearing the right armor and equipment, because trust me, the last thing you want to see is that you're in Necron armor at the end of a Fiesta. This also includes Heart of the Mountain. You have to change your Heart of the Mountain a lot depending on what you do in the game, and you might accidentally have your tree on something else, such as powder mining. So before the Fiesta, just quickly check that you have all the stuff upgraded, so mining speed and fortune, sky maul if you have enough tokens, and of course mining speed and fortune too. Other upgrades include professional and fortunate, but with professional, upgrade this last because it's the least important out of all of them. The second step is to mine the gemstone, which will make you the most money. This one might require some maths, and when selling gemstones, you're always going to want to sell in flawless, unless you're an Iron Man player. So what I would do is quickly check the most expensive flawless by comparing each one. However, we exclude topaz because it's not that easy to mine. So it looks like amethyst is the most expensive, so consider mining that one for this Fiesta. However, if you're an Iron Man player, just mine ruby. You see, we don't have much choice, and every gemstone sells for the same money, so mining ruby is the best option because it breaks the quickest. The next step is to use a dedicated route that is infinite. So for example, down there you can see I have some waypoints. Each waypoint correlates to a certain vein, and when you mine it out you can create a route. As you can see, this route is heavily griefed by bow, but you get the gist. See, number 1 is here and there will be gemstones here, 14 has gemstones there, and so on. So you're going to want to find a dedicated route for the gemstone you're going to mine. Otherwise you're not going to make much money because you're going to be jumping between veins and it's going to be very unorganized. And there'll be a lot of time where you're not actually mining. In my Discord server you can find routes for each gemstone, and they'll all be in the Magma Fields because of the bow perk, gives you 15% extra stats. You're going to need mods to actually use these waypoints because this is obviously not vanilla Minecraft. The best waypoint mod to use is a module in chat triggers called Colwait. Basically you copy the long string of characters and then type CW waypoint load, and that will just load the waypoints onto the screen. Okay, the next step is to find a lobby before the Fiesta starts. What I mean by this is if you're using a route, find a lobby that's not occupied already, because these routes are public and people might be there before you. So I'd say 10-15 minutes before the Fiesta starts, just head to your route and see if anyone's on it. If you can't see any signs of paths or areas being mined out, you should be good. The next step involves an item called the Bob-omb, and I already know Iron Man players are trembling right now. This item is so ridiculously hard to get for Iron Man players, and the only way to obtain it is through nucleus runs, which isn't really an issue. However, they're quite a rare chance, and you need so many to set up a route. So basically what the Bob-omb does is if I throw it here, you'll see it explodes a massive area. So when setting up a route, you're going to want to use these because it saves so much time because you wouldn't have to dig the hardstone manually. If you're unaware, when you break a gemstone using a Bob-omb like this, it will actually grow back in 5 minutes, and the hardstone won't grow back with it, which will basically just leave an exposed ruby vein. This is exactly what you need because you can easily get to it when mining. Which brings us nicely onto our next point, which is to place easy to access platforms on each vein. So grab a stack or two of hardstone and basically just place it next to the vein like this. What you can then do is stand on it nicely and mine all of the gemstones. It's pretty self-explanatory as to why this is useful, because if you stand on the vein like this, not only are you going to have to mine yourself out underneath, it also does just slow down rates a lot and it's quite inconsistent. So having a platform like this is useful. There's also another massive reason why this is useful, and I'll explain that in a minute. When placing a platform, make sure you're in the Magma Fields. On the ruby route that's in my Discord, you're always going to be in the Magma Fields no matter where you are. However, in some routes, you are not going to be in the Magma Fields if you're high up, because the gemstones aren't supposed to naturally spawn in the Magma Fields. Rubies just spawn anywhere, so that's why the route is really easy to set up. But just be really mindful that you're actually getting the stats from the bow when you're stood on your platform. The easiest way to tell is to see what Y level you are. If it says 64, you're good, and if it says 65, you need to move 1 below. Sometimes this over here is actually incorrect, and it will tell you you're not in the Magma Fields when you still are getting the stats. When actually mining the gemstone, you don't need to get every piece. For example, I'm going to mine this here, and this is currently out of reach. Instead of struggling to get it, just keep mining what you can actually reach from the platform. There's so many gemstones on the route that 2 extra will not matter, and by the time you get back to number 1, it's all going to be regrown anyway. So instead of struggling to get these 2, just move as efficiently as possible. Okay, then the next step is to use ether transmission, which is the ability right there, on either an aspect of the void or aspect of the end. This ties into the platform thing which I just mentioned, and basically I'll explain why. When you have ether transmission, if you shift, you can instantly teleport to a block you're looking at. So the reason why this is useful for mining is because when you're finished with a gemstone vein, for example when you've mined it all, you can quickly get to the next platform like that. Yes, I'm aware there's someone down there, don't point it out, okay? This is just a test, I'm not actually mining his gemstones. So yeah, you get the idea, you can just quickly switch between like that. And I can't stress this enough, this is really important. You might not think it's important, but when you're using an aspect of the end or void without it, getting between veins can be annoying because look, if I do that, I've just missed. And if I try to get back up, it could just be stressful to actually try to reach the platform. This causes you to lose so much money per hour when mining. You can also reach blocks that would be unreachable without it. For example, that. It's just an overall really good feature. And if you're not an Iron Man player, buy it. But for Iron Man players, it's kind of a bit more difficult. To get Ether Transmission, you need to be Ender Slayer 7 and drop an RNG known as the Ether Warp Merger, which is a 1 in 200 chance. This is seriously annoying because getting to Ender Slayer 7 is not like just an overnight grind, it takes quite a while. So many Iron Man players are going to be soft locked from actually getting this feature. But for all you regular players, you're lucky because you don't need to grind it. You can just go and buy it straight away. I'm unsure if you can actually apply it to your aspect of the void or end without Ender Slayer 7 on a regular profile, but if you can, you can definitely just pay someone to do it, or you can just simply buy one with it on already. Obviously this one's 200 mil, but it's just an example. Please nobody buy that. Alright, the next way to prepare is to expect griefing. Also, don't ask why I've switched armor sets game. This one feels more comfy. And when I say griefing, I don't mean just players, I mean also structures. For example, you saw at the beginning when I got griefed by the bow structure on the ruby route. This happens a lot, and it is so damn annoying. The best way to avoid structure griefing is just to do a quick look on the route and to see if there's any parts that are griefed. Because the last thing you want to do is mine the entire route and find out that like half of the route is griefed by a structure. And if you're Iron Man, you don't want to be wasting bob bombs. So just go careful with the structures and check if there's actually a structure in your route before mining it all out. And the other kind of griefing is obviously players. This one's more annoying than the other one because the person that's griefing you is obviously doing it out of spite, and this one is completely unavoidable. Just go careful and try not to annoy people. If you're encountering a grief of any kind, don't fight it, just move away, because you're going to waste way more time trying to fight it than to actually just find a new lobby. You know that argument you had with little Timmy about why he took some of your veins? Yeah, that costed you 8 million coins. Or how about that time when you went and griefed his route? That probably cost you like 20 mil. So just really think about it before you feed into the behavior. Okay, it's time for the most important tip. Don't grief. Don't be one of those people I just explained, please. If you get to a route and someone's already on it, just quickly switch lobbies, there's no problem with that. Don't just enter their route and start mining and start to like try and justify it, because it just makes the gameplay bad for everyone. And if someone has griefed you, and then they find their own route, don't go and grief them back either. Learn to forgive and forget. You know, mining Fiesta is already stressful enough. The last thing you want to do is encounter griefing or be the one griefing. I mean, who really wants to sit for hours and mine? Not many people. Okay, and the final tip for this video, use a double drill setup. I'm going to explain exactly what it is, so don't worry. Essentially, you need two drills, one being your main drill, which you use to actually mine, and the other one is just a random drill. And the purpose of this is to hold a blue cheese goblin omelette. I'm aware this is 500 mil, so only do this if you're super rich and can afford it, but essentially this is how it works. So when you have your mining speed boost available, what you're going to want to do is hold your main drill and then quickly switch to your other drill and back, like this. And when you switch to your other drill, you want to right click to start the mining speed boost, and then quickly switch back. So altogether it should look like this. And now you can mine. What this has done is increase your mining speed boost to 25 seconds instead of 20. And it's also given you a bit more speed and fortune. The extra 5 seconds of the speed boost actually makes quite a big difference, but it's not really worth it for 500 mil. So if you already have a blue cheese goblin omelette, for example, if you grinded it on Iron Man for other reasons, if you chuck it on another drill, you can do that and get a little bit more money. Oh, and to point out, on your main drill, you're going to want a sunny side goblin omelette. So yeah. Those are 10 ways to prepare for a mining fiesta. Of course, we have one coming up soon, or it may have already passed as you're watching this video. So hopefully you found it useful. Guys, this is the part of the video where I'm going to tell you to subscribe again, if you haven't already. Please.